Hello, my name is Claudia Sehl, and today I'll be talking to you about children's novelty preferences depending on information-seeking goals. So say you're at a furniture store and you see these chairs for sale. If you're looking to buy a chair, you might prefer one of these ones. They're typical of their kind and will look great amongst your other furniture. But as you're perusing through the store, you might look at this one and be interested in learning more about it. You might be wondering, why does it have 10 legs, or how does it work? So this example suggests that objects we want to learn about may not be the ones that we want to have. So seeking information about objects or seeking them as resources may arise different preferences for novelty. And studies have found that children have a novelty preference across many contexts. One set of studies found that children prefer novel items over ones they were previously familiarized with in an experimental context. So for instance, in one study, 3 to 5-year-olds were given a set of toys to play with. After playing with these toys for a while, they could choose a new set of toys to play with. They could either choose one that was identical to the set they just played with, one with some old and some new toys, or a completely novel set. And typically, children chose to play with the completely novel set. And other studies have explored this by showing children pictures, and children typically choose viewing novel pictures over ones that they'd seen before. Children also prefer novel stimuli as it relates to their prior knowledge and experience. 5 to 7-year-olds are more likely to repeatedly look at pictures of items they've never seen before, so such as a bird with 4 legs, than pictures of familiar looking items, so like a regular bird. And children's preferences for novelty has also been used to investigate their exploration. Although children generally prefer exploring novel over familiar objects and relations, these preferences reverse when there's more to learn about familiar objects. So for instance, in one experiment, children were shown toys that had confounded or unconfounded evidence. In the unconfounded case, children watched an experimenter press a lever and a puppet would pop up. So it was clear of which lever caused which puppet to rise. But in the confounded case, children watched the experimenter press down 2 levers and 2 puppets would pop up. So it was uninformative as to how the toy worked. And during free play, after children observed this evidence, 4 to 6-year-olds preferred playing with confounded toys over novel alternatives. But they preferred those novel alternatives over toys with unconfounded evidence. And findings like these suggest that novelty preferences may arise from a drive to acquire new information, as novel items provide a greater opportunity for learning. And this is a key claim of information gain theories of curiosity. People may spend cognitive resources on items that provide the best opportunities for learning, and may avoid spending resources on familiar items that provide little to no new information. However, excessive novelty may also be avoided. Stimuli that are radically different from what we already know cannot be integrated with prior knowledge. So in learning, children may seek optimal novelty, that is, items that are neither too familiar nor too novel. So there's lots of evidence for novelty preferences in information-seeking situations, but even then there are limits on a novelty preference. As I mentioned earlier, children might choose more familiar options if there's more to learn about them. In our current work, we wanted to further investigate factors that influence novelty preferences by examining whether preferences diminish or even reverse under different goals. So even though children may prefer novel items as a means for learning, this doesn't necessarily mean that they like them or want to have them. Choosing to have objects involves greater commitment and risk than deciding to learn about them. Having a novel object is risky as it could be impractical, ineffective, or cumbersome. So in seeking resources, children may prefer items that are familiar to them as they carry little risk of being impractical or ineffective. So we examined this question across 2 experiments. In the first experiment, we examined if children's novelty preferences reverses when seeking resources. So returning to the opening example, children may want to learn about the chair with multiple legs, but have the regular four-legged one. So seeking resources may be a case where novelty preferences do not emerge. And in experiment 2, we examined if these preferences for novelty also arise in social situations. When choosing who to befriend, children often prefer people who have similar characteristics to them, such as those who share their accent, language, or race. However, preferences may be different when choosing who to learn about. In this case, just as with artifacts, children may prefer novelty as a means for learning. So children may be more interested in learning about people who are different from them. So we'll jump into the experiments. In experiment 1, we showed 4 to 7-year-olds pairs of objects, one familiar and one novel. So for instance, one trial had a regular 4-legged chair and the other a 10-legged chair. And in one between subjects condition, we asked simply, which chair would you want to have? And in the other, we asked, which one would you want to learn about? So we had 4 trials of these, and the location of the novel object on screen was counterbalanced. And children typically indicated their answer by pointing to the item that they preferred. So here are the results. On the x-axis, we have age in months, ranging from 4 to 7. And on the y-axis, we have the proportion of novel items chosen. So each point on this graph is an individual child's response. There was no main effective age, but there was a significant main effective condition, and there was a significant age by condition interaction. Looking at the pink line, you can see that children wanted to have items equally at age 4. But from ages 5 to 7, they preferred to have the familiar items significantly different chance. And in the teal line, you can see that children wanted to learn about the novel item, and this was significantly different from chance across ages 4 to 7. So in our first experiment, we successfully showed that preferences for novelty depend on goals. Although lots of past research shows that children prefer novelty, we identified that this preference doesn't emerge when learning is not the main goal. To further explore children's preferences and how they're dependent on goals, we next explored preferences in the social domain. So as I've already alluded to, when choosing who to befriend, children often prefer people who have similar characteristics to them, such as those who speak the same language, have the same accent, are the same gender, or are of the same race. And they even choose to befriend those who like the same foods and toys as them. So how might children's social preferences differ when making a different judgment, such as who they'd want to learn about? Given that children choose to affiliate with people similar to them, it may be possible that they prefer to learn about those similar to them. And furthermore, 4 to 5-year-olds prefer seeking information and trusting testimony from familiar people, such as those who have the same accent as them. They also believe that similar peers will behave positively, will be more likely to conform to social conventions, and will share with in-group members. But on the other hand, just like what we found in experiment 1 with artifacts, children may be interested in learning about people who are different from them, as they may provide more opportunity for learning new things, as predicted by information gain theories of curiosity. So in this experiment, we manipulated novelty by comparing local and distant people. We chose distance as our primary manipulation of novelty, as children have expectations that people from far away are different from them. From as young as 4 years old, children expect that distant people will speak differently from them, follow different norms, and expect that more extraordinary things can happen in distant places, such as having a pet zebra or eating lightning. So given that children expect people from different places to be especially likely to have different experiences, they may be more curious to learn about people with different backgrounds. So in this experiment, we presented children with 2 pairs of characters, one who lived nearby and one who lived far away. And here's an example of what we showed them in each trial. This girl lives in Canada, just like we do. Where she lives, it looks like this. The houses look like this, And the people there like to play this game. And this girl, she's far away from us. She lives in a different country. Where she lives, it looks like this. The houses look like this. And the people there like to play this game. Then in one within subject's condition, we asked, which girl do you like better? And in the other, we asked, which girl would you want to learn about? And we counterbalanced the location of the foreign character on screen, and we also gender matched the characters to the participants. So here are the results. On the x-axis, we have age ranging from 4 to 6, and the y-axis, we have the proportion of foreign characters chosen. There was a main effective condition, as children were more likely to select the foreign character when judging who they wanted to learn about rather than who they liked better. And there was also a main effective age, as older children were overall more likely than younger ones to choose the foreign character, but no significant interaction emerged. So when judging which character they liked more, children's preferences did not significantly differ from chance across any age. But when judging which character they'd want to learn about, 4 to 5-year-olds' responses didn't differ from chance, but by age 6, children wanted to learn about foreign characters. So in sum, the present work shows that surprisingly, children's preferences can diminish or even reverse based on the goals that they have or the judgment they're making. We found that children preferred to learn more about novel objects and foreign people. And this fits with the expectation that children prefer novelty in order to maximize information gain. However, different patterns emerged when they did not have this goal. Children preferred familiarity when seeking resources to acquire, but did not appear to like more novel or familiar people. So this ability to make different choices across these contexts demonstrates that children are aware of their own knowledge and can seek opportunities to optimize information gain. So thus far, our research contrasted judgments about learning versus having for object choices and learning versus liking for social choices. However, there are many other decisions on the continuum of risks and commitments that we could explore. So for objects on the low risk end of the continuum, you can learn about objects. And as I mentioned, owning objects could be high risk as you're making a long-term commitment to objects, so you may avoid novelty. But there are some judgments in between that could be interesting to explore. One instance that we're currently exploring is trying out items. Trying out objects is similar to having them in that it involves physical interaction with objects. But similar to learning about objects, it offers the opportunity for information gain without taking on substantial risk. And if you think about it, we often take the opportunity to try using things as an opportunity for learning. So we test drive cars before we buy them, or we test out new products at grocery stores before we purchase them. So children might show a greater novelty preference for trying than for having objects because of this lower risk. And similarly, we could explore other judgments and social preferences. Learning, again, is a very low risk commitment. And our judgment that we asked children in our experiment, asking whom they liked, is also a relatively low risk commitment. However, playing with someone at a park or befriending someone for a long time is a much larger commitment. So again, there are other judgments of varying commitment and risk that could impact children's social preferences as well. So thank you for listening today. A special thank you to my supervisors, our lab managers, our funding, and of course, all the participating children. If you don't get a chance to ask a question today or just want to connect, I'd love to chat. You can reach me on Twitter or by email. Thank you.